For as long as I could remember, it was always my mother and my grandmother in my life who took care of me. I had an older sister, but she was somewhat disconnected from our family, and I had two female twin cousins. So since the beginning, I was always surrounded by women and didn't have much of a father figure role in my life. As I grew up and started to go through school, I realized that a lot of my friends around me had something that I didn't. And when I heard them tell stories about their dad or saw them like supporting their children at games, it was something that I didn't quite understand. My mind was simply unable to register that something was missing from my childhood. As I began to grow older and become more aware of my surroundings, I realized that my support system came strictly from my mother and my grandmother, who were and still are great people who love me, in their own individual ways. But I had a realization that as I began to enter adolescence, that although they treated me so well, there were simply some life lessons that they weren't going to be able to help me understand. And today I'm going to be describing how my life was affected without a father figure in my life and how it was able to make me who I am today by making me more independent and a problem solver, more aware and a natural leader, and a grown man maturing at a very young age. The place I feel it's best to start this topic was when I was entering adolescence from about 8th grade onto high school. Throughout most of my elementary school and middle school time, I didn't care much about school or doing well. And I didn't really realize the significance of it. My older sister at that time was the golden standard in terms of school, and she was always at the top of her class. And there was a turning point in her life where she began to go down a wrong path, which led her to getting kicked out at 18 and living on her own. Now, seeing this all happen at a young age and seeing my mother struggle with having to deal with it on her own, my sister, and myself, while working full time and trying to pay all the bills, it was a lot. Seeing this all transpire, I had a growing thought in my head that I simply could not go down that same path that my sister did, and I had to grow and mature. I realized that there was so much on my mother's plate already that I could not be another burden to her. So I made a promise to stand on my own and become more independent. When I got into high school, there was a shift in my mentality. I began to try my absolute hardest and try to figure out problems on my own that would occur in my life, and not rely on my mother so much for every single thing that I needed. And this was all a direct byproduct of a father not being in my life, being able to take that weight off my mother's shoulders and directing not only myself, but our family in the right direction. But this shift in my mindset led me to being more aware and growing into a natural leader. As I began to grow and become better at solving problems that came my way, I started to feel more confident in myself and become a natural leader to others around me. I felt as if I took that responsibility of being a father to myself and trying to reach out to others and trying to teach others around me the mistakes I've made in my past and how I might go about solving problems today that come my way. The absence of a father figure in my life and that shift in my mindset, I believe, made me more aware of my surroundings, and I had an understanding that my life was different from others, and I had to adapt to my situation. The metamorphosis of who I was and who I was becoming was happening relatively quickly, and I saw myself maturing and becoming a young man. When I turned 16, I got a job as soon as I was able to, and I got a license and I began to drive. I made payments for my car insurance and my gas from working, while also juggling my school, work, and sports. I became a young man who was independent, and yes, my mother did still take care of me, but through providing food and clothing and housing and things of that nature. But I made a promise to myself to not add more of a burden to her plate, and I did absolutely everything I could to make that happen. This story and breakdown of my life and how an absent father figure affected me and my mindset has changed me for the better, I believe. And there are certainly those times where I wonder what if, in terms of the state of my family and how different I would have turned out. But I truly believe that there's a reason my life panned out this way, and I think it made me a stronger person, with a mental fortitude to take on anything that came my way. But with that absence of a father figure in my life, it made me more independent and a problem solver, more aware and a natural leader, and a grown man who matured at a very young age. Thank you very much.